Hey guys, what's up? So I'm here with another video today. Excuse my nasaliness. I may cough a few times throughout this video. Allergies though. Okay, so I really should be doing homework right now. I have like 2 full classes due in 6 hours. Am I gonna work on that right now? No, because I decided telling you another stalker story was way more important. So I uploaded my Facebook stalker story, but now I have a whole nother stalker story. Well, not now. It didn't. Well, I guess it did kind of happen recently. But I've got 2 more stalker stories to share with you. They're both really short, so that's why I'm putting them just in another video together. Okay, so we'll go with the first stalker story that I have to tell you today. This happened back in high school. There was this boy. We will call him John. What did I call the other? Oh, I think I called the other guy Joseph. I was like, I hope I didn't just choose the same name. Okay, so this guy, John, in high school, I never talked to him until freshman year when he added me on Facebook. And I was like, hey, do I know you? And he was like, yeah, I think we've had a class together. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. So then he decided he wanted to start messaging me every day. And finally I was like, okay, whatever, leave me alone. And he didn't leave me alone. He asked me for my number. And me, you know, in high school, you wanted to be friends with everyone. You wanted to talk to everyone. You wanted to be cool. Well, so did I. So I was like, all right, whatever, you can have my number. And I gave him my number, and we actually ended up becoming really good friends. The only problem was we never saw each other in person. So here's where it gets a little weird. He would text me probably 2 or 3 times a week. Hey, smiley face, you looked really good today. Now remember I just said we had never seen each other in person. Like, I knew he went to my school, but I didn't have a class with him. I never saw him in the hallway. And it was a little awkward. And finally, I think I just stopped replying to him because he got really weird. He would make just really weird, inappropriate comments. So then I think it was either junior year or senior year was when he started, you know, talking to me again. I was like, all right, whatever. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm sure you've changed. No, not at all. He would actually come up behind me in school and hug me from behind and just walk away. And I'm like, hello, can I help you? So there's that stalker story. Not that interesting, but I gotta give you all the pieces to the stalker story, right? So here's my second one. The second one actually happened just recently, and for any of those who know me, I'm sure you've heard me talk about it, and I'm sure you've seen my post on Facebook. So there was one night on Twitter that I had tweeted out that I wanted to paint something, and I didn't know what to paint. So I was like, hey, feeling artsy, what should I paint? And this guy tweeted back at me, and he was like, hold on. I started in like the middle of the story. What am I even doing? Actually happened pretty recent. I already said this. Gosh, my life sucks. I liked either a post or a comment or commented on something that this guy was tagged in. And we will call him Daniel. What is up with the names that I pick for these people? Anyway, so we'll call him Daniel. Daniel's a very nice name. Too nice for this weirdo. So I liked some kind of post or comment or something. I don't even know. But then I get a friend request on Facebook from this guy named Daniel, and I didn't know who he was, and I was like, okay, whatever, sure, I'll be your friend. Why not? And so that was the end of that. But then he decided to follow me on Twitter. I was like, well, that's kind of weird because my Twitter's not posted anywhere on my Facebook. How did you find my Twitter? And so then I had tweeted out one night, feeling artsy, what should I paint? And he tweeted at me to paint him a tattoo. And I was like, well, you know, I've got my giant canvas, which is probably like the size of this one, which is pretty giant compared to the desk it's sitting on. Right. So I was like, well, you know, my canvas is pretty big. I don't know if you're ready for this big of a tattoo yet. And I tweeted out a picture of my canvas. And he said something back, and it was whatever. The tweets were deleted. Otherwise, I would just read them to you because there was nothing. It wasn't important. But then, it's chilly in here. But then, he messaged me on Twitter. And I thought that was a little weird. That kind of weirded me out. And we were just talking a little bit, and he ended up knowing my boyfriend. And I was like, hey, boyfriend, do you know this guy named Daniel? And he was like, why? And I was like, well, he followed me on Twitter. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's my friend's. It's either cousin or brother. Every time I tell this story, I mix it up. It was his friend something. So I was like, oh, okay, well then that's cool. Like, whatever, he must be great. Wrong. Everything was cool. You know, he was asking me about my job, telling me about how he went to high school with my boyfriend. My boyfriend was super cool. And I'm like, trust me, he's not that great. I'm just kidding. I love him. So he was just telling me all this kind of stuff. Blah, 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 blah. It was just a really pointless conversation. And then it got a little weird. He said something about me being charming. And I was like, yeah, well, that's one of my very few good qualities. And he was like, well, I've been talking to you for less than 24 hours, and I already know that you have more than just a few good qualities. Chapstick time. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, boyfriend, I lied, this guy's being a little bit weird. And so I told him about it, and I wake up the next morning to see if he had messaged me. Well, the messages were gone, and he was blocked on Twitter. And I said, boyfriend, have you been on my phone? And he said, no, why? I said, I don't know, it's just weird that, I must have like deleted the messages or something. He goes, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, and he's blocked on Twitter. Like, gosh, Twitter must have just done that for me. He's like, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, gosh, that's so weird. I don't think I messed with anything. He goes, I don't know. I was like, okay. It's okay. I understand. So that was the end of that on Twitter. Then on Facebook, he decides to message me and be like, hey, I don't know what I did. I'm sorry for whatever I said or for whatever I did. I thought we were friends, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, we talked for a day. That doesn't automatically make us friends. And I told him, I was like, no, you know, that was my boyfriend. I'm sorry. He doesn't like random guys messaging me, which I completely understand. And he was like, well, why? I thought me and him were cool, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I guess not. Sorry. And he was like, okay, well, whatever. And he kept messaging me on Facebook. Facebook is very dangerous. Stay away from it. You will eventually get a stalker, let me tell you. For those of you who haven't yet was the key word there. And he just kept messaging me on Facebook. And it finally got to the point where I wouldn't reply. I'd leave it, I'd read it, so he could see it, that I read it, and I'm not replying, leave me alone. Well, he never got the hint. Even though I would constantly be like, so me and my boyfriend did this, my boyfriend. He wouldn't understand. And finally, I film on my phone. Well, I film on my phone. Otherwise, I would pull up the messages. But my boyfriend ended up messaging him. He was like, I thought I told you not to talk to me. Trying to be me. And Daniel was like, well, when did that happen? And my boyfriend said something, and Daniel was like, oh, hi. And he knew it was my boyfriend. And so I feel like I say so a lot. Well, Daniel sent a message. He was like, I don't know what your problem is. Like, I'm not trying to hit on your girlfriend. We're just friends, blah, 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 blah. I can understand if I was like hardcore trying to...
She just don't care. Do you see her? She's ruining my toilet paper. Oh, stop.
And my boyfriend replied, well, you know, I don't have a problem with you yet. And Daniel just said something about me being cool and how we're friends and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, we're not friends. We're not. Stop saying that. And he had talked about how my paintings were really cool and stuff. And I'm like, okay, you don't know me that well. And so my boyfriend was like, okay, well, in that case, sent that message to him and then proceeded to block him on Facebook. So that was the end of that. On Facebook. So I hadn't heard from him in like, that probably happened back in late March. So last week I get a Snapchat message from him. And he said, how come your boyfriend hasn't blocked me on here yet? And I'm like, oh, you are thirsty. You don't understand. And I was like, I don't even know what I said. But I was just being really short. And he ended up knowing where I live. How? I don't know. Like, I may have said something on Facebook. We're not friends on Facebook anymore. He can't see my profile. His cousin or brother or whatever the person, he doesn't know where we live. So I don't understand how he knows where I live unless he's like seen me, because apparently he lives 2 seconds away. And I'm just like, okay, hi, thanks for telling me. And he was like, yeah, I wish we could hang out. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And when he first messaged me, he was like, man, I needed you for real last night. And I'm just like, no, you didn't. I need you to leave me alone. So, moral of all of these 3 stories is don't add random people on Facebook. You will develop a stalker. Well, that's it for this video. I just wanted to share those other 2 stories because this just happened like last week, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot about this. And I just remembered the one from high school. I was like, man, I gotta share this. I gotta share this with the world because I love talking to people. I like talking to a camera that doesn't interrupt me. It's very refreshing. So leave a comment down below of any crazy stalker stories you have, any weird Facebook experiences you had. Share it down below. And also let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see. I did upload finally a makeup tutorial, which was what this channel was intended to be. But then it didn't work out like that. So leave me a comment down below. Follow all of my stuffs. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!